She's not what you'd expect. She's tough and feisty, but gentle and tender. She makes millions and gives millions to the poor. She cries, she laughs, she teaches, she comforts. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Hi, welcome to the Dani Johnson Show. Thanks so much for joining us today. Today is that one day of the week where we kind of put a focus on the family. Why? Because I believe family is our first priority, at least from a physical priority. And within that priority, husband or wife being the spouse first, and then our kids. Today we want to have a focus on you as a parent and succeeding in this particular role. Hi, I'm Dani Johnson. I'm a mother of 5, grandmother of 8. Can you believe that? 8 grandchildren. I honestly cannot believe I have 8 grandchildren. It completely blows my mind. I honestly can't believe I have 5 kids either. Like, that was a big shocker. I was not the girl that was going to have a giant family. But oh man, the more and more I had more of these little ones, I had to have more and more of them little ones. In fact, I wish I would have had like 7 or 8, maybe even 10. Well, we got our 5, and we've been really, really blessed. But I got to tell you, I have not always been a good mom. In fact, there were many times where I felt completely overwhelmed. I felt like a failure. I wrestled with some anger that I had inside. And then when things were not right with Hans and I, oh boy, sadly, too many times did my kids get the short end of the stick because of my frustration of being a wife. It had nothing to do with them. So today we're going to focus on you succeeding as a parent, especially as you head into the weekend where you're probably going to have a little bit more time with them, to where you're not going to feel defeated or feel like, oh gosh, can I handle another weekend with them? Maybe you're that super happy mom that everything's hunky-dory all the time and you never have any stress. Well, then today probably is not going to be very helpful or beneficial to you. But if you are not that woman or that man, today's program is going to be a blessing to you. Make sure and alert some friends and family members that it's actually going on. You can share today's program with them. Maybe come and get the link on our Facebook page, because the link to today's program is on the Facebook page. Or just start texting to people. It's like, turn on your TV. You got to see this. Because it is. It's time for people to get a little bit of help from time to time. I'm going to start with Samantha Bourne. She writes to us saying this: I struggle with anger and losing self-control with my kids, especially when they disobey or disrespect me. What do you recommend I do in order to overcome this and show my kids discipline through love instead of anger? Oh, Samantha. Oh, I remember the nights crying about this. I remember the times where I failed and I responded in anger and feeling like such a loser, especially because I had grown up with a violently abusive father who I thought was my biological father. And it turned out when I was 17 and a half, I found out that he wasn't. Being molested from the time I was 3 till I was 16, being dragged across the floor by my hair, being kicked across the room by a giant size 16 shoe, being, grabbed by the throat, shoved up against walls to be cursed at. These things majorly had an issue. I had major issues with anger. I really, really did. And distrust and disrespect and dishonor. And so this is all I can say is what helped me. First of all, I am so grateful for all my business training and everything that I actually taught in business, because what I learned in business is what I brought into the home. Business, sadly, was more of a parent for me than the kind of parenting that I had witnessed as a kid. The kind of leadership I saw in business, I figured, why not use that same kind of leadership in the home? Because again, the leadership that I saw growing up was not the kind of leadership that I wanted to duplicate, or at least from my perspective, right? You have a very skewed perspective as a kid growing up in a home. As I've gotten older, I realized there were some things that were different than what I had perceived as a young person. But here's one thing that I learned in business, believe it or not. I learned about forgiveness. Yes, in business. I didn't learn it in church. I learned it in business. Yes, by a millionaire who talked about it and talked about forgiveness and the importance of it, and that I needed to forgive people from my past, and that if I hadn't forgiven people from my past, I would take all that anger and rage and discontent and distrust and striving and contention, I'd bring that into my business life. Well, at the time, I was a greedy business person who just wanted to make millions of dollars, and so I was willing to do anything to succeed financially. And when he said that forgiveness was an important key, it was like, oh, okay, well, I'll do that if it makes me money. Turned out it did make me money. But then when I started having babies, Whew, ha, whew, whew, ha. This is something I found to be so powerful, because what happens is that when our kids disobey repeatedly, right? Because they're learning, okay? So they're messing up every day, especially when they're really little, right? And then even when they get older, what I found is that if I did not have a clean heart every day as a mom, I was then taking on what they messed up yesterday, and I was using that against them. So I found myself as a mother being a record keeper of wrong. And when you keep records of wrongs, you build gigantic walls of anger and fits of rage even. You build gigantic walls of depression. You build gigantic walls of anxiety, knowing that they're going to screw up again. You build up huge walls of fear, the fear of failing as a mom again, as a parent again. So this very practice that I learned in business, forgiveness, like the forgiveness of my employees who didn't meet a deadline or forgot to do something that was really important or mistreated a client, and or the forgiveness of past business relationships, vendors or partners who like totally stole from me. Why? Because I was an idiot. That's why. And I didn't protect myself. I didn't know to do things like I should have. And so forgiveness was a part of my daily routine in business, and I brought that into the home. That even with my little toddlers who were going to poop and pee their pants again, or they're going to write on the walls or whatever, they were going to disobey. Why? Because disobeying is part of learning to obey. It's part of the training and development of our character. That I needed to extend that same kind of forgiveness to my kids. And then that is what helped me to start with a clean slate and a clean heart, clean hands every day, that I wasn't chalking up and building walls of records of wrongs, but that we started fresh every day. Fresh, that what happened yesterday was not brought into today. So what happened today was a fresh offense, that with the most best that I could, that if I had a clean heart, that means that I wasn't responding in absolute anger, especially a 10 angry response to a number 2 offense on a scale of an offense of someone doing something wrong, a scale of 1 to 10. My 2, the 2 offense, the 2 that my kid disobeyed in, that rather than responding with a 10 reaction and screaming, I found myself with a little bit more mercy and grace because I started with a clean heart. So I hope that helps. We're going to continue with more about this parenting tips today. Financing a home can be a nightmare if you don't know exactly what you're doing. Ask me. I know this. That's why the first thing you have to do is find a mortgage company you can trust that has your back through the entire process. Whether you're buying your first home, upgrading your current one, or looking for an investment property, Rick Fujisaki at Wintrust Mortgage wants to win your trust. Rick understands the mortgage industry, and he can take all the stress out of financing a home for you. His easy-to-use worksheets will help you calculate the mortgage you can afford. And he has a unique tool designed to help you find and set aside money for your down payment. And when you work with Rick, who, by the way, I love, a portion goes to caring for the poor through King's Ransom Foundation. So visit loanmortgageguys.com and start building your dream today. Again, contact Rick at loanmortgageguys.com. Have you ever wondered if your investments are making enough money for retirement? What if you could buy an investment rental property for as little as $35,000 that rents for at least $550 a month? After Aaron and Drew Hudson asked themselves this question, Hudson Real Estate Investments was formed, and now 200 transactions have been conducted. Their system helps individuals buy and hold real estate. Their definition of a great buy and hold is a property that pays you a monthly positive cash flow from day one. Hudson Real Estate Investments has a team who find properties available for immediate purchase, vet tenants, and have qualified property management in place. So if you're looking to have freedom and live your life on your own terms, grab your phone and text the word future to 484848. Get started today. Text the word future to 484848. Secure your future now.
Did you know you can take the Dani Johnson Show with you wherever you go? It's never been easier to stay up to date with the latest content from Dani with the DaniJohnson.com app. Watch or listen in the car, at the gym, or on the go. Download it now from the App Store and Google Play and never miss a show again. Your family, business, and bank account will thank you. And now, back to the Dani Johnson Show.
Okay, the morning you seem to be right on track, right? And the patience is there with the kids. Hi, I'm Dani Johnson. Welcome to the Dani Johnson Show. Today is Friday. We talk about parenting. We talk about the love life with you and your spouse. We talk about everything that has to deal with the family front on Fridays, because success, to include in your definition of success, parenting and marriage, a family is a huge part of your success. How you feel as a person, how you deal with things at home really dictates how you deal with things at work. And so here we're talking about, some of those patience issues, right? So let me tell you what Amy Lee writes. She says, when I'm with the kids, I'm drained by mid-afternoon. I have no more patience left and get frustrated very easily. How do I cope with this? Oh my gosh, I remember those days as a mom of 5 and a grandmother of 8. I get it. But here's what I learned, and I hope that this works for you. I hope that you take some of what I'm going to tell you and you pass it on. In addition to what I talked about at the very beginning, the first video that we talked about, this anger with our kids, forgiveness is a huge thing, right? When you start with a clean slate every single day and a clean heart, you're not overreacting to things. But this whole thing about being drained by mid-afternoon, listen, sister. What are you doing to find encouragement? Where are you finding encouragement? I once heard somebody say this to me: who encourages the encourager? Largely those of us who are training up our kids and we're encouraging our kids to make greater choices. Who are we being encouraged by? Who are we submitting ourselves to be challenged by, to be better in our role as a parent? Largely, a lot of women don't, and neither do fathers. They don't. They just keep leaking out all this giving of themselves, all this giving of love, this giving of mercy and grace, this giving of training that seems to be 24/7 and seems like it's never going to end, which I promise you, it is. It is going to end. It is going to get easier. I remember the day it became easier for me. Again, 5. I remember the day it became easier for me. I thought I had a life sentence forever and it was never going to stop and it was always going to be hard and I was always going to be failing in this role. You are not going to be failing forever. It is just a feeling right now that you are feeling right now. And so let's deal with this mid-afternoon. I'm drained in the mid-afternoon. What that is a sign of is that maybe you're spending way too much time with the kids. And maybe there is not enough time that they are having for themselves and not enough time for you to have for yourself, to gather yourself together, meaning mommy needs time out just as much as they need time out. So what do I mean by that? I just want to give you an example. A couple of years ago, my daughter was moving from South Carolina to Texas. Dream come true, prayer answered. She was coming with her 6 children. And I got to have most of them, in fact, 4 of them, for 6 weeks while she packed up her house, sold it, and moved halfway across the country. I was so excited to have these 4 with me, and I'm going to tell you why. Because I got to be able to see what she was walking through again, and I got to kind of polish off some of my parenting skills that I had learned while I was raising my kids and put them into practice again. And I was really amazed of how quickly I went back into action. Then the other 2 had come, and now I had all 6 of them with me, and sometimes I'd have them for a week or 2 at a time. How in the world was I able to still work? How was I able to still manage the home? How was I still able, by the way, they're being homeschooled, how was I able to keep the house clean, serve up a hot meal for Hans when he came home, present myself as his bride versus some old hag in sweats with no makeup? How would I be able to make sure the beds were made, to make sure that the house was not a complete disaster because we have 6 little kids in the house with us after we've been pretty much alone for a little while? How are we able to do that? I did it based on a schedule. I did the same old schedule that I had done before, and here's what I realized. Kids need time by themselves. No matter how little they are, they need some time to have segregated to where they are by themselves. You see, when you allow 6 kids to all be around each other, or even 2 kids to be around each other too much for too long, they begin to wear on each other, and so do the parents. So it's good to create space for people. It's actually really important to create space. When you create create space, now you have a little bit more mercy. Now you have a little bit more grace. And so I would have these guys, I had a perfect schedule throughout the day, right? We get up, we make our beds, we clean our room, which again, how messy could it be? Because the night before, guess what we do before we go to bed? Clean our room. There's no clothes on the floor. There's no toys out of place. That's just what we do the last half an hour before it's time for bedtime, before we start reading our Bibles and before we start our prayer time. That time was get the house back in order, get the bedrooms back in order. And we do this several times a day, so there's never a gigantic disaster to clean up. So there's always checkpoints of making sure to tidy up what it is that we just tore apart. So we started off in the morning with a certain activity. Then we come into breakfast. After breakfast, there's a certain routine with breakfast, which was cleaning up after your own mess. Look over the floor to see what you dropped on the floor. Clean off your table. And if you've got one that's too young to do that, well, then you help that one do that. And then we came into time of having our own space. We had sections in the house that everyone got to have, in this case, Legos, because I still had all the Legos from when my boys were little, where even my, 11-year-old granddaughter was going to build something. She's going to architect something beautiful with Legos. So I have three granddaughters and 3 grandsons, right? So can all of them use Legos? Yes. But they all had their little space by themselves for about an hour to be there, to play, to talk to each other. Talk to themselves, creating, different types of figurines that would have talking to each other. They did all different types of things. They created all these different scenes, but they had that time by themselves where no one was aggravating them. Nobody was taking something from them. It was preventing fights and aggravation. So that means there was actually peace and quiet in the house. This gave me my opportunity to prep dinner for later in the afternoon or to check some emails that I needed to check because everyone was in their own space, in peace and in harmony, being with each other. And then we would have activities when we were all together to where they would actually appreciate each other. And so these are things that I outline in the book, Grooming the Next Generation for Success. Just different strategies to help bring peace and harmony in the house and to bring peace and harmony out of each one of the kids and the parents. It's important that everyone has some space to collect themselves, to think, and to be themselves without being aggravated or pushed on or controlled or manipulated. Fought with, right? So make sure you, as a parent, are creating that space for them and you're creating that space for you. You're going to be a happier parent. There's going to be more peace in the household. You're going to feel so much better about yourself. Get a hold of Grooming the Next Generation for Success. It's a really powerful tool that I think you might enjoy. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more on this topic right after this. Do you have a closet full of clothes yet say, I have nothing to wear? Are you a mom doing her best but desperately lacking me time? Or maybe your schedule has you dressing practically instead of powerfully. What if I told you there's a system, a blueprint that can save you time, money, and turn every head in the room, as well as impact the world through fashion? Friend, you're in the fashion business whether you like it or not. You're an ambassador representing your faith, your marriage, family, and business. Style is just a skill made easy with 123 Style Me. 10 steps to style success that will expand your leadership, save you hundreds of hours and thousands of dollars. This program will bring you peace of mind, reignite your marriage, make you more productive, respected, and instantly boost your confidence, equipping you to be bold and beautiful. Go to courses.lindapage.com. Again, that is courses.linda, LINDAPAIGE.com, and make a priceless investment in yourself. Are you confident that you're always getting a good deal? Have you been equipped with the negotiation confidence, strategies, tactics, and supporting tools you need to close world-class deals? Finally, JPA is making the exact same specialized negotiation training and secrets used by the world's largest, most successful corporations available to everyone. Proven in more than 60 countries and used by brands like Adidas, Vodafone, Pfizer, Nokia, and others, the JPA negotiation method will set you up to save money and time while significantly increasing your profits. It doesn't matter if you're buying or selling real estate, closing contracts with suppliers, or selling products and services to individuals or organizations. Using their simple step-by-step negotiation preparation checklist, you'll be ready to confidently slug it out toe-to-toe with the toughest professional negotiators. It's time for you to stop leaving money and opportunity on the table. Go to bizneg.com/events to register now. Again, that's bizneg.com/events. Get registered today.
Prior to getting started with DaniJohnson.com and First Steps to Success, we were spending absolutely every dime that we made. We were really struggling financially. Since plugging in to First Steps to Success just 4 months ago, we started a brand new business that is doing very, very well. We've paid off $4,500 in debt, but the most important thing is my relationship with my husband has improved like dramatically. I mean, we have so much more fun together. You know, I don't know about you, maybe your finances, you're doing great, maybe you're debt-free, maybe your relationships with your spouse, with your family are great. But if not, if you have some areas in your life that feel a little out of control or there's things that you need to work on, I highly recommend getting to First Steps to Success as soon as you can.
Prior to being dragged out to First Steps to Success, I was hopeless. I had no point to life. It was a day-to-day existence, working a job I despised for people I didn't respect. Deeper and deeper debt every year. You just couldn't get on top of it. I just had no hopes or dreams, none at all, and there was no point to life. But since coming out, we paid off $280,000 worth of debt, married the woman of my dreams. I came to love my job and the people I work for. I have all kinds of hopes and dreams. I get to watch them happen every day. I don't know what your life is like, you know. There's probably tons of hope. You probably know why you live and you got places you're going, but if you don't, you need to sign up for First Steps to Success. You go to DaniJohnson.com and you click on it and be here, because your life will not be the same if you do.
Prior to First Steps to Success, I was drowning in debt, I was terrified of my bills, and I wanted to travel, but I never had the money. And since coming to First Steps to Success, in the last 14 months, I've paid off over $18,000 in debt. I've gone on 6 vacations, and I'm not terrified of my bills anymore. So if you want to learn some proven strategies to really learn how to connect with people, take your life to the next level, all while having a total blast, you need to get registered for the next First Steps to Success today.
Prior to coming to First Step to Success, we were totally struggling, totally under the weight of $640,000 worth of debt, making $20,000 a month, but living paycheck to paycheck. So when we came here, and I realized that it takes a totally different skill set to keep money, to create wealth, than it is to make money, I have totally turned around our lifestyle. We have paid off $640,000 worth of debt in 2 years. We are debt-free as of June of 2013. I don't know where you're at. You might have all your finances in order. You might have a wonderful life. Your marriage might be all perfect and your kids are behaving. But if not, if one of those things is lacking, you gotta get here. Book your next event. You need to be here. You will not regret it.
What multimillionaire do you know that volunteers their time to help ordinary people like you and me? There's only one. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
What do you do with that strong child that you have that's got that driven personality, that is a natural-born leader? How do you direct that child to a place where he's able to be who he is, and yet his strengths don't become liabilities? Hi, I'm Dani Johnson. This is the Dani Johnson Show, and we're talking about probably the most important relationships that you have today, and that's the relationships at home. Those are definitely the most important relationships. I'm a mom of 5 and a grandmother of 8, and we're handling some issues today concerning anger as well as drive. How do I not stomp the spirit of my child out of him when I'm trying to direct him to have good character? Listen to this. Whitney Waller writes this. I have a 6-year-old son who has a very strong, driven personality. How do I teach him to obey, be kind, and to think of others, and direct his drive and stubbornness in the right direction while still celebrating who God made him to be? Such an important question. This particular little 6-year-old boy reminds me of my little boy who's now 23, Cabe. Cabe was a boy who was born very similar with the same kind of gifting, that drive and leadership that your son was born with. And so how do you be able to celebrate who he was made to be and yet be able to teach him incredible character traits that are so important to set him up for success in his life? Well, one thing that I'd realized in working with different types of personalities was that there's 4 different types, first of all, but this one that is very driven, very focused, and very results-oriented, that I've seen so many of my clients as adults that they had so many terrible relationships with people. They had a real big challenge with, in fact, personal relationships, or had a big challenge with anybody that was not as fast as them. They had a problem delegating. They had a problem leading, meaning in terms of getting people to actually want to follow them. That it was more like by force, kind of like it's my way or the highway. And I certainly didn't want my son to have the challenges that I had seen happen in so many of our clients who struggled with these things and wanted to prepare him to succeed in marriage, to prepare him to succeed perhaps as a business owner one day, or someone leading in the marketplace, or as a father one day. So here's what I did with my son, Cabe. And I have to tell you, I'm really, really proud of who this young man is, the kind of character that he has, the kind of humility that he carries, and yet still has that drive to push, to overcome, but not at the expense of everybody else that is around him. So this is what I would do with him. I would simply show him that there were 2 different types of leaders, that there were some leaders that became dictators, and there are some dictator lights that are out there, but it's more of it's my way or the highway. The lower level of leadership is the one who is always number 1. But the higher level of leadership is someone that can encourage leadership in other people. I would show him that these 2 different styles of leadership had 2 totally different outcomes. That for the outcome of one that raises up other leadership is able to rally a bunch of people to do great things together, to go after important things, and not any one person is carrying the entire load, versus the dictator, who often is the one who will not delegate, but is by force and by manipulation and by pressure and by name calling and by fear is trying to pressure and push people to do things that that particular leader wants. But that one always comes with anger, striving, contention, and no loyalty. But the other leader who has the ability to encourage and to draw forth greatness in others, that person has humility. That person realizes and sees the gifting that is in others and doesn't try to change who those people are, but realizes that the team actually needs all types of these personalities in order to win. So here's my son, who's a natural-born athlete. He's absolutely gorgeous. Of course, I think so. He's my child, right? Okay, and of course, I think he's brilliant. Of course, he's my child, right? Well, he was the oldest of 2 other little boys. He was smack dab in the middle, right beneath 2 older sisters. So here, this one who was incredible athlete, the teacher's pet, everybody loves him, everyone wants to be his friend, and every girl wants to be his boyfriend. So how do you groom that in the right direction? I continuously, consistently reminded him, don't gloat when he wins. That because he received this as a gift, that he was gifted athletically, he was gifted physically, that is a gift from who? And I would ask him, who gave you that gift? Did you create that gift on your own? No. Well, where did you get that gift? God gave me that gift. Therefore, you can't gloat in a gift you have received from somebody else. But what you can do is you can realize that that gift is not just for your win, but it's for the whole team to win. And it takes a team to win. And it takes a team to thrive. And this is your one part in the overall win. But notice and recognize what is other people's gifting as well. So he began to shift his focus on a team winning and that he had his part in that win. So my son became an incredible encourager for the other teammates that he had with him. He began to learn how to motivate other people to step into leadership roles. He did this quite well with his brothers. He really did. Sometimes in a really good way and sometimes not so good in a way. Bottom line is he became a motivator of other people and a developer of other people and believing in other people and recognizing gifting that was in others and began to see that he couldn't be full of pride or gloat about a gift that he had personally. So, Whitney, I hope that's the beginning of helping you understand that. But listen, this book right here, Grooming the Next Generation for Success, this is probably the most important thing I'd ever written. By far, the most important relationships that we have on earth that really dictate what we do outside of the home. And so this is what I would get my hands on if I were you. You can go to the website, DaniJohnson.com, and get your copy today. I write about Cabe in here quite a bit. In fact, all the kids are written about in here. And different strategies that I used and how to be able to discover what their personalities were and how to motivate them and knowing what perhaps their weaknesses were and help them stay out of those weaknesses and to live in their strengths and in those strengths that they could win big no matter what their personality was. Whether it was like Cabe, who was like incredibly driven, Roman, who was like super fun and made everything funny, Micah, who liked things very organized and orderly, Erica, who also enjoyed a whole lot of fun and enjoyed teamwork, and then there was Xtina, the intense one like her younger brother. Anyway, so I hope that was beneficial to you. Please share this with somebody else. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you again soon. God bless.